Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, which I have renamed. I am no longer my third act, but now I am living in Margaritaville with Marla. I thought that was a lot more appropriate since just about everything I record these days is about life in Margaritaville and the things that I would have loved to have known before I moved here. So there's another one we're talking about today because somebody asked me about it after my last video, and that is all about the landscaping and the architecture and how do you know what you can or can't do and what goes on in the neighborhood to maintain it, etc. And I guess I have to inform you guys that when I was researching this, there is another Bible, and it is called the Architectural Review Board Bible that is used in Latitude Margaritaville Watersound. And it is full of scriptures on what thou shalt not do in thine own yard or to thine own house. And that Bible is the word of the king of the neighborhood, which is, of course, the HOA. Anyway, there are rules, and I started looking them up, and I was like, ooh, okay. Here are 5 things for me to share with you about how to know what to do about the landscaping and how it's maintained. First of all, when you're driving through Latitude Margaritaville, you see the most beautiful landscape. Here's some that I took just the other day from my golf cart. All of this looks beautiful every single day when I drive it. Everything is trimmed, it's watered, it's nice and neat, and if a plant passes on to the other side, it is replaced, sometimes not immediately, but eventually. Well, like I said, I wrote down 5 things I thought that you'd like to know about architecture and landscaping in Margaritaville Watersound. Here's number 1. The first thing is to realize that the architecture and the landscape all fall under the jurisdiction of the HOA. And how did that come to be? That is because there are 6 pages in our CC&Rs, conditions, covenants, and restrictions. Those are the laws of Margaritaville. There's 6 pages in here out of 150 some odd pages total, I believe, devoted to landscaping and architecture, and it contains the guidelines that the HOA can put together and set forth regarding landscape and architecture. And here's the goal. The intent of the landscape and architectural board and review and everything that's set up, the intent is that the homes harmonize with each other and present a consistent style. And they also want the aesthetic of the common grounds, like you saw in the video, be continuing on in the consistency of the way the homes are presented in the neighborhood. So I think it's a really good idea for you to at least be familiar with this 150 pages of documents, but especially with the architectural and landscaping information, because there might be some things that you're used to doing that you cannot do in Margaritaville, or things that you might have questions about. I moved here from a townhouse community and we had most of these restrictions in place, so I didn't think too much about them. But there are a few that I really didn't know about. For example, you might want to know, can you put in a garden in your backyard? Can you put in an electric fence for your dog since there is no above ground fencing in the neighborhood? Can you take out some of the shrubs that you don't like and replant your favorite shrubs? Could you do that? Can you put up holiday lights around your house? And can you put special lighting in your yard and on your trees? Can the lighting be multicolored lighting? Is it only in certain times of the year? So all of this is addressed in a document the HOA put together, and this is what I refer to lovingly as the HOA Bible. So this document is it is about 50 pages. Now, when I'm talking about landscaping of your yard, I'm talking about the HOA covering every single thing. For example, this means watering, mowing, blowing the grass off, bagging anything that needs to be bagged, keeping the streets clean, trimming every plant that needs to be trimmed and the trees too, putting in all the mulching and any replanting that needs to be done. All of that is done by the HOA, as well as all of the fertilizing of the grass. In the index, there are everything that's covered in alphabetical order. So for example, if you want to know, can you put a generator, a Generac or a generator in your yard? There's a section on that. There's even a section on garden hoses and how they need to be wound up and out of the way. Why would you need to know how to maintain or how to place your garden hose? Because mowers are gonna come, folks are gonna come mowing across your yard, and if your hose is out in the yard, it could get damaged. And that would be your fault, not their fault, because you didn't have your hose put up. And a lot of information about putting in large projects aftermarket, after you've purchased the house. For example, swimming pools, hot tubs, etc. It's all in the Bible. All right, let's go to number 2. No construction activities in your yard or on your property can begin until a request is made and submitted to the Architectural Review Board, lovingly known as the ARB. So I just want to read you a little bit about what they say the board has control over. Your request has to be in writing. I'll show you how they do that in a minute. And it has to be accompanied by the plans and the specs and any other information that the people reviewing this project, including code people, will need. And plans and specs shall show site layout, structural design, exterior elevations, etc. Drainage, that's a big one if you're putting in a water feature or a pool or a hot tub. What about drainage? Because you cannot have any kind of structure that's going to drain into someone else's yard. So other things that could be considered might be aesthetic features that you want to add to your yard, and they state that you have to submit those too, and it says decisions may be based on purely aesthetic considerations, and every owner must acknowledge that aesthetic determinations are purely subjective and that the opinions may vary as to the desirability and attractiveness of particular improvements. So what you think might be a fabulous improvement might not really be what any of your neighbors would think would be a fabulous improvement. Anyway, the board gets to decide if your whatever you want to put up in your yard is going to be aesthetically pleasing. Now, there's timelines that where the HOA has to respond within a certain time to everything submitted. The big things like pools take like 45 days to be considered because there are so many things that the ARB has to go through in your submission for a pool. And we talked about some of those, but it's all in the Bible. So all work orders are available online. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And as I said, there are fees for each job. If you want to extend your lanai, for example, that requires a $2,500 refundable deposit. Large tree installations require a $1,000 refundable deposit, etc. So you can understand that this has to be paid before you start your project, but is completely refundable assuming there are no snafus and nothing gets hurt in the neighbor's yard or to the neighbor's house. Alrighty, number 3. What do you do if you have questions? Well, you can, if you want to speak to someone in person, drive right over to the HOA office, which is at the square, and they always have someone in the office every day of the week during the business days, weekdays, to talk to you about any questions that you might have. They've been really helpful to me over there. And you can also look up on the HOA website about information on submitting a work order. One thing you don't want to do is rely on what you hear on Facebook. The HOA does not have a Facebook page. The HOA has their website that you go to, or you can go talk to them in person. I would say that probably half of what I read about landscape and architecture on Facebook is probably incorrect, maybe kind of close, but not exactly correct. So you really want to be able to just look online or go talk to them at their office. Okie dokie, we're to number 4. Plants and what you can and cannot plant, and ornaments. So there are only certain plants that you can plant here. You can't go in and plant your favorite kind of tree or shrub if it's not on the list. But the list is pretty expansive, and it's all in the ARB Bible. People have asked me, wow, that is so restrictive, Marla. Why do we have to plant only what they want us to plant? Well, it has to do with they're the people who maintain it all. And if something gets damaged or destroyed that you put that was not there, that the builder put in, or not part of what they're supposed to supply in terms of landscape trees and amount of shrubs, etc., for your house, then it can be your responsibility. There's a limit to the number of ornaments that you can put into a yard. I think it is 4 that you can put in your front yard. You're not really supposed to hang anything from the trees. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but these are small front lawns, and 4 is plenty, in my opinion. Okay, number 5. What is the cost to maintain all of this? To maintain all of the common ground, which are acres and acres, well-paved roads. There's all kinds of golf cart paths, lots of trees and bridges and fencing that is fencing between you and the preserve. Every bit of that is included in your monthly HOA fee. I don't know what the exact fees are. I think ours, in a single family, we live in a beach collection home, are about $350 a month. That also includes all the amenities. So it is absolutely, to me, an unbelievable, wonderful deal. I'm really glad that I can walk down the street and enjoy such a beautiful view, such beautiful vistas that are always maintained. Is it worth it to have a bit of a headache and to have to follow the Bible? Well, you know, it's a Bible that if you follow it, you're going to get blessings. And the blessings are a beautiful neighborhood. So keep that in mind when you move to Margaritaville Watersound. And thank you guys. Please like and subscribe my new channel, which is called Living in Margaritaville with Marla. I really appreciate you watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.